Hey guys, it's RodimusPrimal. I am back with another video, and today I'm going to talk to you guys about the speculation about what the next Haslab could be at MegaCon. We're going to look at some of the listings that we've seen now for 2026, as well as some figure reveals from different Transformers lines, as well as Hasbro's decision whether or not they're going to still be a toy company. Yeah, this is some weird news that's going to be coming out today, so I've got a lot to talk about, so sit back, relax. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, and let's transform and roll out. Consider supporting the channel on Patreon, becoming a channel member, or purchase some merch. Links are in the description below. So the first thing I want to talk to you guys today about is the new deluxe class figures that they are releasing for Transformers Earthspark. For those of you who are skeptical about, you don't care for Transformers Earthspark, whether you like it or don't like it, that's really up to you. The thing about this show is that the toy line that came out has been sitting on the shelves, and not many people have liked it because it's been not the, higher quality Transformers toys. So whether or not you like the show, it's all going to be dependent upon whether or not also if you pick up the toys or not. And I think this Soundwave looks pretty cool, as well as this hashtag figure. So, if you are a fan of Transformers Earthspark, these are probably going to be right up your alley. Maybe you might be able to see something like hashtag could see her get a retool of other characters. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing an Earth mode for, let's say, Moonracer or another character or what have you, because just looking at this toy, it's actually a decent looking figure. And Soundwave, I'm not the biggest fan of that alternate mode, but I do like the fact that the robot mode kind of combines a lot of different things. I'm not the biggest fan of Earthspark myself. I really didn't care for the show. I didn't like the slice of life stuff. I didn't like Megatron being a good guy. And so it really wasn't my cup of tea. There were some things that I liked about it. And, they were like, it's like you get like a sliver of something that you like out about a show. And then there are a lot of people who have their different, issues or what have you. But it was also on Paramount Plus, so not many people saw it. Now it's showing up on Netflix for people to watch. If you don't like the show, that's perfectly fine. I am of the opinion that if you don't like a show, you don't have to watch it, right? And if the next Transformers cartoon comes out and it's better, and it's more available, like the new Transformers Cyberworld that's going to be coming out, we'll see what they do. Hopefully they make a good Transformers cartoon that more people get into. But if you are an Earthspark fan, it is cool that they are releasing better toys for the series. Now, as I said before, Transformers Cyberworld is the next Transformers cartoon that they're going to be doing, and it is going to be a YouTube exclusive show. So they're going to release the toys and they're going to put the show on YouTube as an easier way for distribution. And I think that is a smart move, considering that, not everybody has a streaming service, but everybody can access YouTube, or at least more people can. And they're realizing that since most of their other Transformers shows are on YouTube as well for you to watch. So if you want to see G1, you want to see Beast Wars, you want to see Cyberverse, what have you, they're all up on YouTube. And so it is an easier way to be able to see it. And from what we can tell, they're going with some classic characters. You have Optimus and Bumblebee, you got Grimlock here, and this bull form for Megatron. Not sure what it's supposed to be. We don't know much else about the show, but I'm just hoping that the show is able to capture new Transformers fans and bring them into the fandom, because that is something that I've been saying for a while, is that I do think that that Transformers needs something that can get new fans attached to the series, as well as keep some of the older fans happy as well, which is why you kind of need a little bit of both. But, and I talked about this at length with other folks on a live stream before, so we're hoping that the show is good. We'll see. Now, we have some listings for Studio Series for 2026. I know it's like February right now in 2025, and we're already seeing that the listings are coming out for these figures, and it's kind of odd that the listings are coming out so early, but maybe this is going to be like that first wave of 2026. And so what we know is that a leader class Soundwave They're going to package refresh Snarl, which is good because for some people he was kind of difficult to get for some people. And they're going to do a new leader class Astro Train. And then, of course, you've got the Last Night version of Nemesis Prime, which is basically a repaint of, I don't know if it's going to be the Age of Extinction Prime, or they're going to do they're going to do a Last Night Optimus and then just release it as well as Nemesis. I'm not sure, but maybe we'll see if there's a tooling difference for that. I don't collect Bayverse stuff. So for me, if they're going to do a new Soundwave figure, I'm hoping the Soundwave is awesome. For an 86 Soundwave. And then Astro Train, I'm happy with the Siege mold, but if they do something new and different or like a little bit more accurate as far as robot mode is concerned, we'll see. And if it's just a repaint, I don't know. We'll see what they do with that. This Friday, Hasbro is going to be having a panel at MegaCon. I will be in attendance. I will be there Friday and Saturday. So if you do attend MegaCon, I hope to see you there. And they're going to be showing off the next Haslab figure, as well as some other Transformers toy reveals as well. So we'll see if they're going to do like the Studio Series 86 Megatron, if they're going to do any of the, later stuff for Age of the Primes, like any of the later waves. I'll be able to see it in person. I'll be taking pictures. So if you're following me on social media, like Instagram or Facebook or on X, you can find me on there, and I'll post all those pictures and videos and stuff, and I'll try to do like a news post once I get back from MegaCon, because like I said, I'll be there both Friday and Saturday. I'm looking forward to it, but here's the thing. I've heard a lot of folks say things like, I don't necessarily want a crowdfunded thing, and I don't like the idea behind crowdfunding. I understand that. The biggest issue is toy distribution, what the big box retailers want and what they can put on the toy shelves. After really looking into this, and I'll talk about this more a little bit in a moment, but the problem comes down to it is that pretty much the big box retailers are Target and Walmart. And Target and Walmart are going to pick and choose what toys they want on the toy shelf. So they're not going to put a Unicron on the toy shelf, right? They're just not. They can try to make it an online retailer exclusive, and then it kind of makes it difficult to be able to move that product. But if it's a direct to consumer, project, that is the reason why, Haslab exists. And you may disagree with the selling model of it. That's perfectly fine. But there are certain, projects that they've done that they had to sit there and say, hey, we don't think that this is going to actually sell if we put it on the toy shelf, but we think that we'll get enough people to be able to produce it if it's in a limited quantity of numbers. And that's the reason why we had Victory Saber. That's the reason why we had Deathsaurus. And now we have with Omega Prime, because the thing with Omega Prime is that if you do an Optimus, then you got to do an Ultra Magnus, and both have to be Commander class figures, at least as far as, pricing is concerned. So they realize that Ultra Magnus probably won't sell, but Optimus would. So if they do both in a project, it'll be more likely that people will buy it. And that's pretty much what they did. And like I said, you can disagree with it. You may not like the idea that they did it that way. That's perfectly fine. And you can be as critical as you want to be with Hasbro. Like, I'm of the opinion that if it makes sense to do it that way, then go for it. But I want them to make these toys better. We can be critical when a toy is, has got certain issues with it, like paint applications or, QC issues, those things that we can be very critical of, and it's right to do so. I also think that distribution is a major problem. So I'm just going to put this up here. We have Ultra Magnus is currently, right now, the pre-orders are available for him now. At Hasbro Pulse, they've already sold out. But Entertainment Earth, and I think a couple other stores, are still doing it. If you use my affiliate link, obviously it helps out the channel. But a lot of people really wanted this Ultra Magnus figure. I saw so many people were angry that they could not get their hands on Ultra Magnus. And I'm glad that they've done so for him. They did so for Beachcomber. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact the characters are showing up in the Skybound comics, which helps the reason for you to buy it. The Skybound comics are great, by the way. So I'm excited for fans who missed out on this Ultra Magnus to be able to get it. I still want Studio Series 86 Optimus. I have not gotten that figure yet, and I really do want that figure. But some people, say, like, I didn't get Ultra Magnus. He just never showed up, right? So he's not showing up on toy store shelves because of toy distribution problems. Commander class figures are tough, and it really boils down to distribution. Now, I want to talk about this video right here by another channel named Nerdzoik. I'm not going to actually watch the video. You can check it out. I'll actually put the link in the description. But he has an online toy store, and he talks about different distribution issues when it comes down to it, about big box retailers. And it makes a lot of sense because basically, since toys are not manufactured in the United States, the distribution is just awful because it comes from Southeast Asia, it comes from Vietnam, comes from China, comes from all those countries. And in order to ship those toys out, they have to be ordered from, let's say, Target or Walmart, and then they have to fill up that container, and that container has to make it to the United States, and usually it'll make it to California or make it to the West Coast and then get distributed around the country, which really stinks because it's hard for those toys to get out onto the shelves in particular. And Target and Walmart, they'll order something and it's supposed to come within a certain time frame, and it doesn't necessarily come. And since he has an online toy store, he's able to see like the actual numbers and stuff like that. And he goes into it. It's a decent video to check out, to understand, at least as far as like myths and all that stuff. It's rather fascinating, but really it's more so about the fact that the distribution issues are not like necessarily a problem for one toy company. You know what I mean? It's the entire toy industry has to deal with this because we don't have a Toys R Us that, distributes toys differently than other retailers. And Pulse isn't really like directly from Hasbro. It's really just the same thing. They're coming from the same manufacturing plants as everybody else, and the allocations end up screwing a lot of people over. And so that's the reason why when I put up these affiliate links and stuff like that for like places like Entertainment Earth or some things like that, I am doing so because I want people who are trying to get whatever toy that they're trying to get to be able to get them. And the big box retailers don't really stock them. It's really moved to a point where, you're almost better off ordering these toys online. It kind of stinks for a lot of people. Either that or you end up going to a convention where someone in the aftermarket ends up getting it and they're selling it for, for a markup of like $10 to $20 above retail, or even more than that in the aftermarket. Things like Ultra Magnus for like $300, or, Grimlock is $300. So I'm just pointing it out in this video because it is something to take note of when people are getting angry about, distribution really being terrible. It is a industry-wide problem. But that being said, the last thing I want to talk to you guys today about is this article from, it's on Sabertron.com, and they were talking about how Hasbro's top dogs, this is what I was saying before, is how Hasbro themselves are trying to shift. They're moving out of Rhode Island and they're going to Boston. And in doing so, they are, saying that they want to move more to gaming. Well, they canceled their Reactivate game and what have you. But Transformers as a toy line is actually funding a lot of it. Mind you that the movies have not been box office successes. Transformers 1 failed at the box office. Whether you like the movie or not is irrelevant. Not enough people saw it, and a lot of people are seeing it now on streaming. And I think that Paramount Plus was a terrible place to distribute that movie because not many people had it. How else are you going to go watch that movie? And it came out in September. It had poor marketing. People saw the first trailer and said they weren't going to watch it. So movies are off the table now. The toy lines are an issue, and I talked about this again in a live stream, but they want to shift from toy production to gaming production, try to go into video games. They are going to license out their toy lines. So you have things like Mighty Morphin Power Rangers is going to come out with a new toy line in 2025, but it's not Hasbro producing it. It's Hasbro licensing it. They are going to hold on to these IPs like, the same way that Disney does, and, have someone else manufacture the toys. Hasbro realized that Star Wars and Marvel are not selling very well, or at least as good as they should be, having to do with the fact that the movies and TV shows are just not doing as well as people would want them. So it hurts the toy industry, and all of that stuff ends up in places like Ollie's. So they're going to license out the toys to people like Playmates or what have you. That's why you see like more different toy companies putting out non-transforming Transformers toys. Why? Well, Hasbro is still Hasbro with Takara are working together to make Transformers toys, and you're getting the third-party stuff that's like, disassemble a model kit and what have you, but Transformers themselves, the actual transforming toys, are still going to be produced by Hasbro and Takara, and they're still going to put out those toys onto the market, because Transformers is one of their most successful brands. The second one being Magic the Gathering. They realize that they can just print money on cardboard and distribute it and make a lot of money. And it hurts the bottom dollar, in my opinion, for everything else. It's the reason why, like, unless you have good entertainment to sell the product, then you're not you're not capitalizing on things. You with Power Rangers, you can't always fall on Mighty Morphin, because Power Rangers is more so about that same changes that they do with Super Sentai, whereas Transformers, it's a different Optimus Prime every year. It's a different Megatron every year. And how many toys of Optimus and Megatron can you do in order to pay for the, low-end characters like, I don't know, like Quake, right? Like if you want a Quake figure, then you're going to need another Optimus Prime toy on the shelf. That's pretty much like what they've realized, is that, the nostalgia of it sells, the brand recognition of it sells. And so how do they keep the bottom dollar working? Now, mind you that this is more so coming from the current CEO, Chris Cox. He came from Microsoft, and he came into Hasbro, and he's like, okay, I want to turn Hasbro less into a toy company and more into a gaming company, into a video game company. Well, that's not really what Hasbro is supposed to be, are they? They're supposed to be a toy company. And if you really want to, want my opinion on it, they should be focusing on making the best toys for each of their brands, and they need a solid media to sell said brand. So Power Rangers, okay, Mighty Morphin is going to have the nostalgia factor, but Power Rangers also needs a current Super Sentai series to be adapted into a Power Rangers show. Transformers needs a kid's toy, a kid's cartoon that is readily available for everybody to watch, and toys that are good and decent out of something like Cyberworld. But then you're going to have the, collector's market out of things like Age of the Primes. Age of the Primes needs a media, so you're going to need a cartoon. But if you're not going to produce a cartoon, you can only go so long before a toy line is not going to sell. And you're going to have that same problem when it comes down to studio series. Like, if movies are not being made, studio series has a shelf life. That's only going to last so long before people are like, okay, well, what's the point of studio series? Why don't we just roll it all into, generations, and we'll stop making movie toys, and we'll stop making, what have you, because we're just going to, obviously we're going to work on what sells and what character is worth making a new toy for. And, that's pretty much what the collector's market is, right? Whereas the new cartoons have to have some brand recognizability, have to have media accompanying it, and it all becomes a problem. And Hasbro themselves, they're not the people who should be making the media. They should be finding the most creative people out there to make a good cartoon and have the budget to do so, and it can make something as awesome. Because let's put it this way. Generation 1, when it started, it was the powerhouse of Marvel. And Sunbow was helping financing it. It was kind of like an arm of Hasbro. And you had Marvel that made, the comic books, and they were the ones who made the profiles. Marvel made the profiles. That's what Bob Budiansky worked on, right? You had the Marvel comic book that was coming out. So it was all together with that. And coupled with that was also Marvel Productions, which was a wing off of Marvel to make a cartoon. Now, Skybound currently has the license, publishing it through Image. Now, how do you produce should we produce a cartoon for that? I think that would be awesome if we were able to produce a brand new cartoon of the Energon universe. Why? Because it would be something new and cool to keep fans, older fans interested. You've got, if you want to expand the brand, you have to be able to make stuff that appeals to what the core of Transformers is. And that's not only selling to younger fans, but also newer, and older fans. You have to find that balance. And I don't think that Hasbro understands that currently right now, because some of their top dog leadership is not there. However, I think the people who are in charge of the Transformers brand themselves, like the people who are actually working on Transformers, understand it and are limited to what they're allowed to do. So you have some really good creative people. You have Mark, you have Evan, they're on the brand team and they want to make the best Transformers that they can, but they have to deal with the people above them. And when you have people above them who says he wants to make Hasbro less of a toy company, then it hurts. It hurts every brand altogether. And, this is where I think that people need to, you can't just sit there and scream it like everybody on Hasbro. And I'm not just completely on one side or the other. I'm I want them to make better Transformers toys. I want them to make better Transformers fiction. That's for me as a fan, what I would like to see. If you're going to make good video games, you got to make great video games. You can't make shovelware. You can't make gotcha games, so to speak, as they call them, where they're just games that it's free to play, but in order to get a character, you got to pay for it. And if you want to get to the next level, you have to pay for it. Those are things that people are not going to like, that model of production. You want a good, complete game. And if you want an expansion to that game, you can do DLC, but that's where they really have to focus on their properties and make good media all around to sell said product. But if they want to actually have that done, they have to look at the people who are making the best of the best and look to them to make said media, whether it's a video game, whether it's a cartoon, whether it's a comic book. I think Skybound is doing wonderfully when it comes down to it. And I know some people have they don't necessarily like the gratuitous violence in that comic book, but, I can go on and on about this, but I'm hoping that Hasbro corrects course and makes the best out of all of their brands that they can. And I'm eager to see what toys they're going to come out at MegaCon. I'm hoping, that it's something that's going to excite me as a fan, just as much as it's excited everybody else. But I don't know what you guys think about all this Transformers news. Are you on the fence about what's going on with Hasbro? Are you excited about the reveals from MegaCon? And what's your thoughts on toy distribution? Of course, leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. Be sure to thumbs up this video and subscribe. Check out my other videos as well. I have many more Transformers videos like this coming soon, so stay tuned for all of that. And as always, guys, until next time, till all are one.